Hello and welcome to another episode of Ashes to Go. I'm your host, Redbyrd, and with me is BDLG. Bordy, how you doing tonight, buddy?
I'm good, man. Struggling a little bit with my microphone tonight, apparently. I don't know what's happening here. But I think we're good. I think we're ready.
I mean, you sound good to me, dude. I mean,
okay.
You know, it's rare, but yes, you sound good tonight. We got a nice show for you guys today. We're going to talk a little bit about the announcement of the next live stream. We're going to talk about the community question on Fan Friday. They brought up, what profession do you enjoy in MMOs? So we're going to kind of go through that, maybe our personal preference and what we hope to see in Ashes. And then we're going to talk about the panel, the Pax Panel that Steven was on, and a couple other MMO developers on the what's the future of online gaming. And there's a lot of good conversation there. So we're going to break that down a little bit for you as well on this episode. But first, we want to announce we have an affiliate link for Ashes of Creation. It'll be in the show notes below. So if you're interested in buying the game and you wouldn't mind, using our affiliate link, it will be in the show notes. So check that out. Also, real quick, if you're interested in submitting questions or comments or whatever you want to submit, maybe fan art of Bordy and his microphone constantly screwing with it during the episode, or his ability to find the door in his podcasting room, even though he's lived there for quite some time. Submit it to studioloot.com. There's a contact button at the top of the page. And if you go there, you can contact us directly, submit questions for the show. And if you have a great question, we might bring it up on the podcast. So check that out, studioloot.com. All right, Bordy. So now all the housekeeping out of the way, we're going to talk about the announcement of the next live stream, which is September 30th. 11 a.m. PDT. And Bordy, let's do this real quick for you, because I know you've struggled this. What time is that Central Time? 1
p.m.
1 p.m. That's
Boom.
a great job.
Look at that, dude.
Great job, man. I'm proud of you, dude.
Yeah, man.
So that'd be 1 p.m. if you're an East Coast guy. So the development, they will bring up, of course, development updates. They typically talk about the upcoming backer packs, so that'll be cool to see that pictures. Pictures of that. We always kind of get excited about that type of stuff. And we're hoping, and we can kind of talk a little bit about this now, about an Alpha 1 day, Bordy. So what are your thoughts on a potential official announcement happening on September 30th for the Alpha 1 day?
I'm not going to get my hopes up, dude. I would like for it to happen, but for some reason, I'm feeling like it's not going to yet. I don't know why. I think they'll mention it. They'll probably talk about it a little bit, but I don't know that we're going to get a date, like a concrete date yet. It might be like a, hey, it's happening soon type of thing, though.
Soon, TM.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have to agree with you there, man. I would think that it's a pretty big announcement to announce an Alpha 1 date. Maybe they'll do it on one of these announcement or these development updates. I mean, I couldn't think of a better time, but maybe we're still a month out on getting an actual official date. But we can always hope, right? We can always hope that Alpha 1 starts, and then all of a sudden they say, hey, anybody else want to buy into Alpha 1? And then we can play Alpha 1. But we kind of missed the boat on that so far. So let's hope for a quick, soon Alpha 1 date. So then we can play the game too. Anything else? What are your expectations? I think they're going to definitely release another backer pack. It seems to be a monthly thing that they do. So I would assume we're going to get to see more in-game items, which is always interesting.
Yeah, man, I'm sure that they'll show off something like that, and then I'm excited to see where the game is, man. I really enjoy these development updates. I enjoy sitting down and watching them and seeing where they're at with the game and what's happening. So I'm ready for it, man. I don't really know what to expect in this one. I don't know what they're showing. I don't think they've said yet, have they?
No, they've almost put out nothing as far as like what they're going to talk about. But we are still 10 days away. So maybe as we get closer to that date, we'll get to know more about what's going on there.
Yeah, I'm excited for it, man. I like them.
All right, so there was a community question on Twitter, Fan Friday, and this week and they showed a little bit of a picture of a guy fishing in like a 32-bit world or something like that, and it said, what profession do you enjoy in MMOs? Now, typically, if you listen to any of our podcasts or have listened to any of our podcasts in the past, me and Bordy aren't much for crafting and all that stuff and MMOs in general. We're both PvP guys. And I would say secondary, maybe like competitive PvE type stuff. But professions are an important part in MMO. We both agree there, and we do enjoy that when a game has a decent or excellent even profession system to draw more people like that into the game. So Bordy, if you have a history of profession, well, if you do have one, and I don't know if we've ever talked about this, what is your favorite in an MMO?
That's tough, man. My favorite. So I typically gravitate in MMOs. I typically gravitate to like a cooking or a alchemy or some kind of consumable profession, just because I know that's what's going to make a lot of money. And typically those are I don't know if they're easier, but a lot of times they just don't require as much effort, because as you're out killing animals or whatever to level up, you can skin them, get the meat, and then take it back and cook it and whatever. You don't have to specifically go out and farm that stuff unless you just want to, so you kind of get it naturally. And then herbs are the same way. Like as you're exploring, you're running through the world, you can just pick them up. So that's kind of easier for me while I'm going out to PvP. I just kind of gather that stuff versus going out and farming ore. But I think my favorite profession and the thing that I'd like to do the most is like a blacksmith, specifically weapons. If I were to really dive into one, that's what I would want to do.
All right, interesting. It sounds like stereotypical, like warrior type talk. You're a big melee guy, and I can't hold that against you, man. I got a lot of respect for you. Constantly throwing your body in harm's way.
Wait, hold on. Let's back up a second. You said you have what? Go ahead and repeat that first thing. You have a lot of what?
You're an ape. You like to like.
No, that's not what you said. No.
What?
Go ahead. No, say it.
What?
I want to hear it again.
You like to melee.
No, you used a specific word, and I want to hear the word that you said. You don't even know what you said, did you? Because it slipped out.
Respect is what you're talking about.
There it is. Okay.
I mean, what part in working, dude? Have I ever said like I disrespect or I don't respect you? I mean, come on, Bordy. Let's.
No, but you've never actually said it. It's kind of like the inherent, like, I'm proud of you type of thing. Yeah, it's nice to hear it every now and then. You know what I mean?
Well, there you go. You heard it.
Yo, dude. It's not. It just keeps getting better and better, man.
But what I mean, all right, dude. Listen, man. Blacksmithing, we get it. You're an axe wielding brute, and you want to craft axes. I personally, typically, if I do crafting inside of an MMO, it's consumables. I think consumables are always where the money's at. I enjoy alchemy in general, but the cooking alchemy side of things is where I like to go. I like the idea of everybody constantly needing the goods that I can produce. So I tend to lend there. But man, I can't lie. Black Desert Online, when the game first came out, I was a fisherman, man. I was an AFK fisherman. I was in college at that time. And I remember like I would do my homework or I'd start studying for my, my exams. And I would always have BDO on in the background, AFK fishing. And man, I made a lot of money initially, and then I got into horse breeding. It was a mess, dude. I'm typically never like that in MMOs, but for some reason, Black Desert brought that out in me. So, dude, I can get behind fishing occasionally too.
Yeah, but what if it's not an AFK profession?
Then no.
Okay, so fishing is out then.
Yeah, fishing's out. I mean, like I like to fish in real life, but like I'm not. I
don't think fishing is going to be AFK in Ashes.
No, I'm sure it won't be. Yeah, I don't expect that. And honest to goodness, I don't like that. You know what I mean? I don't like the idea of I have to have my computer on 24 hours a day to compete in a video game. Like that kind of drove me nuts, and that's one of the reasons I quit Black Desert is because I feel like I couldn't keep up with anybody if I didn't have like if I wasn't AFK all the time, like in game,
Yeah, dude. My same way. My PC was on 24/7. I remember walking around with these big, huge packs on my back so I could increase my strength. So I just set an auto loop of walk, and I didn't enjoy that either. I want to actually be playing the game. I think there's ways to do that, but yeah. Anyway, I agree, man. I agree. I don't really care for AFK fishing either.
Yeah, I mean, and it's hard because you and I both know, we talk about this all the time. I think the general audience for MMOs is most people agree with us, it's hard when like the expectation for a video game is that you're logged in like 8 or 9 hours a day to compete with, in PvE and PvP and whatever systems that a game offers is a big turnoff for me right now. Me and you both, we have families, we have jobs, all of these things and that compete with our time, obviously things that we would prioritize over video games, hopefully. And, it's a big turnoff for me if a game is requiring you to be like in game for like really long periods of time every day to compete with or to be even to participate in some of the activities in the game.
Yeah, for sure. I think there's something to spending a lot of time in an MMO and being rewarded for that. But at the same time, you're right. Yeah. Like being able to know life and not being able to compete is a whole other issue. So I think we got a little bit off topic there though. So let's loop back around. So what is your preferred profession? Because I don't know that you ever said.
Yeah, dude, I said consumables.
Consumables. That's
I like to cook. And I like alchemy.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
All right.
Yeah. I mean, I just, people constantly go through like, especially if there's like, everybody likes to optimize their character and they need health potions, they need mana potions, they need food, whatever. I like to be, able to provide myself with those things because I think it's annoying to have to consistently spend money on those, as well as like I like to be able to provide that for like the guild or whatever, raid group or PvP group or whatever you want to call it. So.
Yeah, so not to go too far down that rabbit hole though, but there is a pretty unique profession in Ashes, animal husbandry. That's going to be pretty crazy. You think you're going to get into that at all, or like breeding mounts, or going down that? I think that's going to be a crazy popular profession in the game, to be honest, because it's kind of unique, and I think there's going to be a lot of that going on.
No,
you're not gonna.
No, not my thing, dude. You know what I mean? Like I like mounts. I like cool looking mounts, but I don't want to breed them. You know what I'm saying? It's just not something I'm glad that it's in the game. I thought like I did again, like in Black Desert Online, I did become like a horse breeder just because like I don't know, it was very profitable at the time. But like in general, like if it's something I can't progress in, like if I have to actively try to progress in it, most likely I'm gonna try to progress like in other forms in the game, like combat or whatever. So I don't know, man. No, not for me. I'm glad it's in the game. I think a lot of people enjoy that, but it's not like something I like to spend time on in video games in general. So,
yeah. Okay.
What about you, dude? Are you gonna make some kind of like
liger, man.
Or you into that thing?
Some kind of what?
A liger, dude. You're gonna breed a tiger and a lion together. A liger.
I mean, maybe. I don't know, man. I'll probably check it out. I want to see how it works. I want to see what's going on there because it's kind of unique. I think there's other MMOs that have it, but I think in Ashes it's going to be a little bit more in depth. And I'm interested. I'm interested. Who knows if I'll go down that road, but I'll probably at least dabble a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, it'll be cool. I'm glad that we're gonna get access to the game early and get a chance to test all those things out. That way, when the game is live, then we can go, head down whatever path we choose to go down. I'm thankful for like open betas and stuff like that, opportunities to kind of try things out and have a little bit of fun and explore before you get down to grinding. So I'm sure like if I don't like the, which I can imagine not liking the alchemy or the cooking paths inside of Ashes, then maybe I will look into pet breeding or whatever you want to call it, mount breeding, animal husbandry.
Get in the kitchen and cook me some food.
Hey man, no. Now just for that, dude, help me remember, chat. If you ever ask for food in game, that's a hard no.
What do you mean, man? Why?
The tone that you just asked that in, it's just not. I'm not into it.
I mean, I wasn't asking. I was,
Yeah, that's exactly why you're not getting it, dude.
What do you mean?
All right. So the main topic of tonight's podcast. And one that I'm excited about is the future of online gaming. So Steve and Sharif, also Margaret, their community manager, was part of this panel and PAX about the future of online gaming. It had a lot of other people involved, the head design and Crowfall, Pantheon, and then the other gentleman, which we determined what worked for Amazon Gaming Studios San Diego, but we don't know what game he worked on at the time. He used to work for Daybreak Games. Can you remember the guy's name?
Smedley,
there we go. Yeah. John Smedley, yes. And so then basically they all sat down and kind of talked about what they thought the future of online games, and obviously with that panel, specifically MMOs in general. And so we're going to talk a little bit about the topics that they talked about on that panel and kind of throw in our 2 cents on what we think about, crossplay, mobile, MMOs in general, which way they're going, and then maybe what Ashes of Creation will add to that conversation as we, see and learn more from their development. So, Bordy, the first topic, or maybe not the first topic for them, but the first topic for us is going to be crossplay. Now, me and you are typically PC guys. We've been in the PC realm for quite some time. I played a lot of console games as well, but obviously prefer PC. So let's jump in right here. What is your opinion on the future of like crossplay? How important it is to gaming in general, and then specifically MMOs, and what would that look like, or what should that look like as we move through, the future of gaming?
It's a tough question, man. First, I want to say that the Pax Panel was really good. I enjoyed the heck out of it, man. There was some very good discussion on there, and I thought it was good. I was very entertained. But in terms of crossplay, man, that's a tough question for me. I see that there's importance for it. I think for games, I think you can reach a much broader audience that way. But I'm not sure, like, in what. I don't really play MMOs on consoles, man, but I do know that there's certain things that gimp players on consoles versus being on PC. Like, for example, add-ons. I know there's not going to be any in Ashes, but just in general for MMOs, you can't use those. There's other things, keyboard and mouse, you can be more precise in action-based combat, and that's another whole other topic for Ashes, because we don't know what's going to happen there with their combat system, with it being hybrid or whatever. So I think from a competitive standpoint, having full-on crossplay can cause some issues possibly. I don't think so. I think MMOs are a little bit different because it's not as prevalent in an MMO as it is in something like a shooter. But I don't know. I think on one hand, it would explode the growth of the game, because then it's available to a much wider audience, and everybody doesn't have PCs. A lot of people don't want to buy PCs. They're a little bit more expensive than consoles, and a lot of people just enjoy their consoles. So to give them a chance to play and experience the game alongside people playing on PC is an awesome experience, I think. And then it also opens it up and would let me play with some of my friends that aren't PC players, because I have a lot of those that have a lot of friends who, man, they just play console. They don't want to mess with PC, and so I don't really play video games with them right now because I want to be on PC, and there's really not a lot for us to play together. So that would be really cool to open it up like that. But I don't know how necessary it is. I don't know, man. I'm almost kind of against it, man, because I want to be playing with people that are strictly on PC in a sense. I don't know. It's a tough discussion for me, man. What do you think about it? Do you think it's necessary? You think it's something that's going to happen from now on, or what do you think?
Well, okay, so first, the main, interestingly enough, a lot of the people on the panel, everybody except John, really thought that there are like things inside of an MMO that can't really translate over to like the mobile platform, obviously. So a lot of them agreed on that thing. Now, crossplay from console to PC, I think is a big thing to have in the future. I think, you look at games that like Diablo 3, Elder Scrolls Online, they have a decent sized player base on those console platforms. And you think about the alternative where you wouldn't, you just don't stretch over to, what will be PS5 and Xbox, the new one of those as well. I can't remember the name of that, like Xbox S or something like that. Those are basically PCs, Bordy. You know what I mean? The specs on those are like way better than the PC I'm currently streaming and playing video games on. So you would think like in the future that is the way to go. Having all of these cross platforms playable with your friends. Of course, like in MMOs, you don't get much of a advantage of playing on a controller versus a keyboard and mouse, not like a shooter or anything like that. So I think, the MMO side of things is pretty interesting, man. I would hope that, again, that at least some of the upcoming MMOs are going to look at, ESO and kind of see the success they've had there on the platform. And Bordy, the first MMO I ever played was on console, on PS2. It was EverQuest Online Adventures. So technically my whole origin in the MMO genre was on console. So I like that. I like the platform. Obviously, the idea of sitting on your couch and playing an MMO is pretty cool. But I know that now that I've jumped into PC gaming and seeing how diverse and how expansive the worlds are on PC, the power that the PC can kind of provide to open up those worlds and make those gaming experiences that much larger. Obviously, I think PC is always going to be your pinnacle MMO experience.
Yeah, I think so.
So yeah, I mean they seem to they didn't mention a lot about console in the conversation, did they? I mean, it was mainly mobile.
Right. I think they were gearing it more towards mobile, but I don't know, man. I've never played a MMO on console, but something like Elder Scrolls Online, their updates are after PC gets them, so they're not true. I guess they're cross play. They're not cross play, I guess, are they? What is truly considered?
They are
cross-play?
not. I don't think they are.
Yeah. So I think they are. That's a separate market, right? They have their console market and then they have their PC market, so they're not really cross play.
Right.
So that is pretty interesting too, I think, because then it gives those console players a reason to play the game. But then you have ESO, they have a weird thing where they have they have PC getting all the updates way ahead of console. So all the PC people already have the information way before the console people have it. So a lot of the stuff can get ruined for the console people, and I don't know how much I like that, but it would be interesting. I don't know. I mean, I guess if you split them up like that, that's fine. Why wouldn't you want to go that route? That's just more copies to sell and more revenue for your company. I'm not so sure I'm super keen on 100% crossplay though, just because of even though it doesn't provide a huge competitive advantage, I think it can provide some competitive advantage being on PC versus console. But that's just my 2 cents, man. I don't know. I don't really like the idea of it. Maybe it's just because I'm a PC elitist, I don't know.
Yeah, you are. I mean, you are kind of a snob for sure about that.
I mean, I wouldn't go that far, dude. Come on,
listen, dude. Okay, so Satan Donkey. I just read his name out loud the first time, I guess. He made a good point, and this is something they brought up inside of the discussion, was companion apps. Now, I really like companion apps. I like the idea of being able to log in on my phone when I'm picking up a pizza or whatever out of my home and just check on things and I definitely don't want this system in Ashes of Creation, but they used to have those war tables in WoW that you could send out your companions on missions and receive in-game items and gold and stuff like that. By doing your missions, you could control those on mobile, and I think that's fine. I like the idea of the integration of that system. But all the MMOs that I've ever played on mobile are pretty awful. So, I can understand I can't play a real MMO, so I just want to play this MMO on my phone. But I'm not one of those people. I don't like a diminished experience just because I want to do something, right? I'd much rather just play a different mobile game that's actually Hearthstone or something like that versus I really like this MMO, so I want to play this watered down version of it. I'm not into that type of thing.
Yeah, I don't really like that idea either. And then whenever you have full crossplay on mobile, that opens up a whole other can of worms, I think, as well, because you're very limited on mobile for sure. But in terms of companion apps, I think that's fine. And I do think that Steven has said they're going to have some sort of companion apps on Ashes as well. I'm pretty sure I've seen that somewhere. I heard him mention that before. So I think companion apps are cool. I like companion apps, depending on what the app is, I guess. But I'm all for that. But I'm definitely against having a cross-play version of the game on mobile. I agree, man. Yeah, it waters down the experience, and then whenever you run into somebody on mobile, I mean, what are you gonna do whenever you're trying to
you're gonna destroy them? That's what you're gonna do, man.
Exactly,
you're gonna tell because they,
right,
yeah.
Yeah, and then that's not fun for either person. I don't want to go if I'm on PC, I don't want to fight somebody that's on mobile and kill them and know they were on mobile, and that's just not I want a competitive, fun fight so that I can say, oh yeah, feel good about myself for winning the fight, or not feel so bad that I just lost to a mobile player.
Yeah, dude, because, and to everybody's relief, they're not planning on anything like that. None of the people on the panel were even planning on bridging onto console. I don't think so. That's their Crowfall, Ashes of Creation. and Pantheon. So, obviously, me and you think another MMO that's coming up, New World, I think that they have designed their game to have crossplay against console. And I think the main point about that is like you look at the two biggest games here recently is Fortnite and Warzone, the Call of Duty. Those two big BRs, and BRs are completely different, obviously. But, you look at the size in which those populations and communities were, a lot of that has to do with it being available for free, number one. But number two, on so many different platforms, but it's all the same game, right? There's no like differing in experience, which is another thing that, like you had touched on earlier, is very important when you're looking at crossplay.
Yeah.
All right, man. So the next topic, or this is something else they brought up, is returning back to a Pre Wow Mmo. Now, this is something that comes up a lot in the discussion about a new MMO or new MMOs, is like the WoW clones and how a lot of people were just trying to do what WoW did to capitalize on the money side of things, make a successful game that would bring, a lot of people to play it, and it never really worked, to my knowledge, at all. There were tons of WoW clones. I remember playing a lot of them, and none of them really succeeded. And so then a lot of this idea, or the idea of the panel I had mentioned, was returning back to that pre-WoW state, getting before the theme park MMO was created, and looking at what made those other games like EverQuest and UO and Shadowbane and Star Wars Galaxies, looking at all those previous MMOs and what made those successful and what made those so dear to players' hearts, and kind of like innovating on those, Bordy. So the question would be for you is, what does that mean to you, like returning to a pre-WoW state, and what is some things that maybe WoW doesn't do well that you would like to see in the future of MMO, specifically Ashes of Creation?
I mean, I think returning to a pre-WoW state is more of a to me, it means returning more to a sandbox world versus a theme park world. And I think you kind of mentioned that, because WoW was, I think, our very first really big theme park MMO. They kind of set this precedence where you go, you ride the rides, and then they funnel you into a specific direction into the game. And I don't prefer that in an MMO. So I hope that Ashes they seem to be, moving way away from that direction. So that's kind of what it means to me, is getting away from the theme park aspect and returning more to a sandbox aspect of an MMO.
Yeah, for sure. And I think one of the things that WoW did well, I think, is they, the build up or the itemization, the rating, in-game rating, in-game PvE experiences, how organized those raids were, and the story that they told by, again, this is I think a negative thing, pushing you through experiences and curating your experiences within MMO. I think the story that they were able to tell through that, and then the raiding experiences, and like kind of like as you go through the raid, you're experiencing new parts of the story. I thought that's really good if you're into that sort of thing. One of the things that I think that just completely deletes from, or like takes a lot from the MMO experiences, and something that me and you both have enjoyed in our previous experiences in MMOs, is that open world feel, that sense of adventure, that sense of like, just like going out, for being forced to socialize with other players, grouping up with people maybe you don't know to get a common task done because it's not doable solo, stuff like that really, I think, is a huge part of an MMO. Obviously, multiplayer, massively multiplayer online doesn't mean like, oh, you can do everything solo in the game. And I like, that's what I want to see out of the future MMOs, is reasons to play with other people and ways to experience the game, and just in general, play with people and compete against people. That, I know that's big for both me and you, is that, that's part of the pull of an MMO, is like I can compete against other people in an RPG and eventually fight them, eventually, or like I can work together with them to accomplish something else. I like that aspect of MMOs.
Yeah, absolutely, man. That's the whole point of an MMO, I think. Massive multiplayer online game, right? It's not I don't think MMOs are necessarily intended to be played single player. I think there's cool aspects whenever you can play single player. But I like the idea of having to do things as a group in certain circumstances, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's the main point. I think there's some other things, obviously, that they want to get away from that WoW does, and the whole pre Wow thing. They did mention some of those. If you guys didn't watch it, yeah, I would recommend it because it was a very good panel. Like Bordy said, there was a lot of good discussion there, and a lot of bright people inside of the genre that had the discussion. So. You should definitely go check that out. Okay, so the last thing that we're going to talk about, obviously, this is an Ashes of Creation podcast, is how can Ashes of Creation shape the future of online games or change the future of online games, and specifically MMOs? We know a lot that this is a very ambitious game, ambitious title. They're going to try lots of new things that have never been done, but they are also innovating on things that have been done and kind of going for there. So what can Ashes do in specific to further along the MMO genre and become successful, but not in the form that we're typically used to, which is like a WoW type of game?
I think it's the node system, man. I think just making the node system work exactly how they want it to work and how it's intended to work. I think that alone will push Ashes of Creation into another category of MMO because their node system is so incredibly dynamic. It just provides for a lot of future gameplay and just ongoing play. That is kind of the end game is the whole node battle, and no server is going to be the same because every server is going to have different nodes developing different ways. And I think, to me, that is how Ashes of Creation is going to make their mark, and that's how they're going to shape the future of online gaming. Because once a dynamic world like that is introduced into MMOs, who's going to want to go back to a stagnant world, right? Like, I know I wouldn't. Like, logging on every day and then pushing forward to make a node different, or seeing your story on your server and then you talk to somebody else and their story on their server is completely different. Those types of things are going to be awesome, and I think it's just going to provide years and years of gameplay, and just the dynamic aspect of the MMO is where I think that they're gonna shape the future of online games.
Absolutely. I 100% agree with you. I think the most ambitious thing they're doing is the node system. And I think that, in general, that the success of the game will be on that, how successful that system is. How can they allow players to completely change the narrative of, like you said, their server or, their experience in game? And that is, to me, is what makes MMOs great in general. The idea that players are more than just like, oh, you're like one of the 1 million or 10 million or 100 million heroes in this world that have no actual influence because we have our own stories and characters that we want to develop. How much can these characters, or your character in specific, affect the actual world in the MMO? And I like that idea. I think the node system is one of, or the most massive principle in that change that they can institute in the future of MMOs. I also think, again, the way that they're able to, get away from the theme park, as far as they can distance themselves away from that, the better off I think they'll be as far as kind of, setting themselves up for, being a unique experience in an MMO genre that we haven't seen in a long time.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And I think they're headed in the right direction, trying to make it a mixture of the two, a theme park and a sandbox MMO. And if they can pull that off and pull off this dynamic system with the node system, I absolutely think they'll leave their mark. And then that, I think, will set the precedence for the future of MMOs.
For sure. I think we both agree that, we're looking for, obviously, me and you are avid MMO players. Some of my favorite experiences have in gaming in general have been in MMOs, and I just want to see the genre, pivot, and I want to see some new games that are actual new games, not just reskins of WoW or whatever you want to call the theme parks games that we've experienced in the past. So, yeah, man, I'm excited for Ashes. I think you are too. And it'll be exciting to see as we learn more about the actual systems in the game and how different they'll be compared to what we're used to. All right, Bordy. Real quick again, don't forget to use our affiliate link if you're gonna buy Ashes soon. We would really appreciate that. Also, go check out ashesfans.com. We just got some stuff over there. Guild system. So if you have a guild that you want to promote over there, just go create a login and do that there. Bordy, can you think of anything else that you want to discuss real quick before we tie this thing up?
Not offhand, man. I think that's about it.
All right, brother. Well, why don't you tell people where they can find you on the internet?
Yeah, man. You can find me over at twitch.tv/BDLG, and Twitter and YouTube is at the BDLG. And then, of course, creating content over at studioloot.com and then ashesfans.com.
And you can find I'm Redbird with a Y. You can find me on Twitch and YouTube under the same name. On Twitter, I am Redbird. And yeah, don't forget, guys, anything or any updates that we have for Ashes fans, for Ashes to go, any of our Ashes content, go check out Studio Loot Twitter account. So it's just at Studio Loot. We have all our updates, all of our new content is kind of promoted over there. So definitely follow that. We're thankful for you guys for listening every week, for showing up in Twitch chat, all of that. Thank you. And we look forward to seeing you on the next episode of Ashes to Go.